Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the IB Me UBU show. I'm your host, Antoine Valtome, and today I have joining me none other than Ava Collins. Ava Collins is a fitness model and Instagram influencer. Um, Graduated from San Diego State University with a bachelor's degree in business administration and also currently working in marketing. Ava, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Antoine. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And is there anything I left out about you that you think is important for people to know about sort of who you are?
Well, I love helping people. I love learning. I love growing. Um, I think that, I'm in my fitness journey and my um health journey, but I also think I have a lot to take from other people. So, um, I'm really excited for today and to see how this goes.
Yeah, me too. And I know that you studied dance for a very long time.
Yes.
When did you start? How old were you?
Oh, I think I was around 6 or 7. So I've done dance my whole life. I've been a dancer my whole life. And in high school, I went to a performing arts school. So that's kind of where I I took it to a whole nother level. Um, and unfortunately reached a little bit of a burnout before college, so I decided not to do it there. But I still enjoy it as a hobby on the side here and there, and I think it's really shaped a large part of who I am today. It's made me a team player, independent, a leader, and just so much more. I'm competitive because of it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was great.
Did you do any ballet? Is that part of it?
Oh my gosh. A lot of ballet. Ballet every day, twice a day sometimes. And it was grueling, but it shaped me to be the most like well-rounded dancer. I had the technique and yeah, I can get into that, but
Okay.
yeah, did ballet.
I know it requires a lot of discipline and
Well,
it's not easy. Um, and just a side note, for whatever reason, it seems like in movies, Hollywood movies, all the female assassins uh, were ballerinas. So the John Wick ballerina movie, that was
yeah,
a,
there you go.
and then there was one with Jennifer Lawrence. I can't remember the name of it, but she was an assassin ballerina. And I think
Yes.
there's been a few. So I don't know if that's a side hustle for you, Ava, if
Maybe
you're
I can't
like,
say,
so
So
Ava, I love the work that you do on Instagram. And so the conversation today um, is is based on the fact that I really admire your ability to record these really informational, entertaining videos. And I told you prior to today that I admire that, especially because it's not something that I feel comfortable doing. Um, so I acknowledge that as a skill. And I reached out to you, because I wanted to basically uh, ask you to give me the ability to sort of tell a story, share information like you do, but in a format that I'm more comfortable with. So I'm very comfortable, and it feels natural to have a conversation with someone like you. Um, so we're going to do sort of a role reversal today, where instead of me interviewing you, maybe it'll be more of a conversation where you'll ask me some questions, but we'll get an opportunity to learn from each other. Um, Obviously, we have the shared work experience where when you were in college, I know you did some interning with me, and I was really grateful for the work that you did. And I tried my best, as any leader should, to act as like a coach and a mentor and help sort of
yes.
develop you. So my hope for today is it'll be sort of a mutually beneficial learning opportunity where you'll ask some questions and hopefully you'll be able to use and maybe add to your sort of skill set, and potentially anybody watching can learn from as well.
Yes, absolutely. I'm super excited because, yes, like you said, you've been a mentor to me for so long. So I feel like it's very natural. I'm always asking you questions and I really value your insight and your answers. So, um, I'm really excited for the
Cool.
watchers
Okay,
to.
awesome. Awesome. All right, well, let's do it.
All right. Okay, so in prepping for this, I've learned that you're a huge fan of Simon Sinek's books. So let's start there, and let's start with you telling me what your why is.
Yeah, so the reason I get out of bed every day,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to get up out of bed every day at 4 in the morning, by the way, every day. Uh, I feel like it's my life's mission to help others improve their lives, overcome obstacles, achieve their goals. Um, and that is extremely rewarding and sort of satisfying for me. So uh, I get to do that in sort of my professional capacity, uh, working in customer success for software companies for the last 20 plus years. It's rewarding to help customers sort of achieve their business outcomes using our products, but also on a personal level, uh, I am really passionate about leadership, which is why I got my master's degree in management and leadership. And I wanted to be a better leader. And one of the things I learned is being a better leader is helping create the leaders of tomorrow.
Mhm.
And yes, it's rewarding and satisfying to sort of coach and mentor and develop people that I work with to, again, improve themselves and advance their careers and achieve their goals. So that's what I would say is sort of my why. And it gets me excited every day about waking up. And um, it's very rewarding. And I go to bed at night knowing that I've done some good in the world if I can help somebody.
Yeah, I love that. And so for someone listening who might feel, like a little unclear of their own why, because I feel like that might be hard for people um to
Mhm.
think about,
Right.
to figure out what their why is. So where do you suggest they start?
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Well, for starters, here's the way I see sort of one's life journey. And I'm answering this question as a 55-year-old man who has two children. All right, I have a 17-year-old and I have a 13-year-old. You know, when you're born, you're 100% dependent on your family, your mother, your father to take care of you, right? You're a baby and you need them to bathe you, to feed you, you know, nurture you, etc. And it's all about you, right? Your needs need to be met, and you can't fulfill them yourself because you can't. You need somebody else to do it for you. But as you start to age, you're expected to start to do more for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And eventually become an independent, self-sustaining sort of adult where you don't need mommy or daddy to take care of you anymore. You're taking care of yourself. You cook for yourself. You know, you clean up after yourself, etc. So I think regardless of what age you're at, if you're not sure what your why is, start with, are you taking care of yourself?
Hmm.
You know, sounds simple, sounds basic, but, you know, are you, you know, able to fully support yourself, or do you need others to support you? You know, um, uh, if if maybe you're still living at home and maybe again, you know, you have the ability to work, but you're not, maybe that's someplace to start. You know, if you have again other people doing stuff for you, assuming you're able to do your own laundry, maybe start there. Do your own laundry, make your own bed, cook your own meals. And
Right.
again, I'm answering this partially as a parent of a 17-year-old, again, who's transitioning from soon to graduate high school. And we're doing less and less for him over the years. And again, the goal is for him to be. So I would say if you're struggling to figure out what to do, start with, hey, can you take care of yourself
Right.
first and foremost? And then when you talk about then earning an income that supports the lifestyle you want to live,
Mhm.
well, what should I do? There's a saying, do what you love and the money will follow.
Yes.
It's also been said, like, do what you love and you'll never work another day. I do believe in that.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't even know yet what they love. So you have to be sort of curious. You have to have an open mind and try different things to figure it out because it's not obvious. Um,
Okay. Right.
so there's that. But then the other thing to consider is instead of saying do what you love and the money will follow, do what you're good at
Mhm.
and the money will follow. So, for example, when I was a teenager, I loved baseball, but I wasn't very good at it. so sorry, nobody's going to pay me to play baseball as much as I wanted to be a professional baseball
Right.
player. So that doesn't work. Sorry, there's just no way that if I just played baseball that somehow I would have been able to. But what I figured out is, yeah, I really enjoyed talking to people. I really enjoyed sort of the human interaction, and I sort of grew and found professional careers that allowed me to do that. Again, interacting with customers, having conversations. And I figured out that I was just really good at that. And it aligned with my personal why of helping people. So, again, just to summarize, I would say start with figuring out how to take care of yourself. And if you're not sure, again, what you are good at, have an open mind and just start being curious and trying different things until you see what sort of interests you.
Okay. So I have like two different avenues that I want to go down after this. But first I'll start with, you say you like helping people, and I agree with the videos that I make. I think I make a lot of, I call them value videos. So it's like whether it's my boyfriend helps me with the finance videos, I'm not gonna lie, but with the, how to eat cleaner or change your mindset or different form videos, I think it's really rewarding because you can see, I mean, I see via the comments or the DMs, but you can see in your calls, when you're working, that you have a direct impact on
Yeah.
someone else's life and on their growth. But in your experience, I think like I want to know what you think tends to hold people back when they're trying to reach their maximum potential. I think, whether that's like excuses or environment, or I want to know what you think about that.
Yeah. Well, I would tell you the single biggest thing is um, getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Okay. So, this is what I mean by that. My wife is afraid of public speaking. Uh, she's deathly afraid of having to stand up in front of an audience. And my answer to her was, well, the way to get over that is you have to go do it. That's the only way. You have to lean into it. A few months ago, when I turned 55, I said I was going to do something that I'd never done before to get myself out of my comfort zone. So I've embraced years ago being uncomfortable intentionally. So I said, hey, I'm going to do cold plunge. I've avoided it my whole life. I've heard about it. I know it's going to hurt. I know it's going to suck, but I'm going to do it. And uh, I did it. And yeah, it hurt. It was very uncomfortable to get in freezing cold water intentionally. And it was extremely rewarding because it was so hard.
Right.
And I overcame my fear of the pain and the discomfort. And I did it anyway. And I survived it. And it's extremely rewarding. So I think, we live in a world where we get food delivered to our doors on an app. We get, anything we want basically delivered to our door. It's very comfortable. If we're hot, we turn on the AC. If we're cold, we turn on the heater. It's easy to sort of be comfortable.
Mhm.
And I would say leaning into uncomfortable situations, getting outside of your comfort zone, doing something new, doing something different, doing something you're afraid of is really where you grow
That is where
as
the
a
growth.
person.
Yes.
And just to make the connection as far as like, from again, being a fitness model, working out in the gym, how do you grow your muscles? You go in the gym and you put them under stress. You're grabbing heavy weights and you're pushing the weight and you're basically breaking down the muscle, right? And then you go home, you heal, and those muscles grow stronger and bigger. So, why wouldn't it be the same when it comes to developing yourself um, as a human being? Not just your physical body, but also your mind and your spirit, which is something again I know we'll talk about in a little bit. So anyway, that would be my short answer is don't run away from the uncomfortable. I would say lean into it, pursue it, look for situations and opportunities for you to get outside of your comfort zone. And if anybody's interested, I learned about this in my early 20s reading a book by Dr. Scott Peck, who was a psychologist. He wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled and
Yeah,
several other books. And it's called The Road Less Traveled because most people don't want to go down the road because it's uncomfortable. But one of the major points I took from the book is again, you really grow and develop if you don't shy away from those uncomfortable situations, if you embrace, again, some of those, and as painful as they are, they're opportunities to grow.
that is a great book too, by the way. Um, but I completely agree. And when you look at successful people, I feel like a lot of people just judge and we're like, oh, they're the CEO. That's great. But you don't think about how hard it was for them to get there, how many times they put themselves in uncomfortable situations to get where they are. A lot of CEOs were once afraid of public speaking, but now they have to talk in front of the whole company. So
Mhm.
it's like that is what sets them apart. And I think everyone has the opportunity to do so. And it's kind of interesting to think
Mhm.
that we're who we hold ourselves back. But
Mhm.
once you change that mindset and you
Mhm.
flip the switch and you're just like, okay, maybe I'm not the best public speaker, but let me just go
Mhm.
on this podcast and learn. Let me just,
Right.
you know. So I think that's really interesting. And I want to bring up the book Atomic Habits
Mhm.
because the habits that you implement into your daily lives really, really makes a huge difference, just like your mindset. And
Mhm.
it's not easy to wake up every day and go to the gym.
Mhm.
It's a discipline, it's a mindset thing, and you can implement these tiny habits to change the outcome of how you live.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
really incredible.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say when you mentioned the CEOs, I think there's a misperception that successful people is just this like straight line, upwards of success, just boom, 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 boom. Um, and the reality is that's very rare and unusual. I find that the most successful people try things and they'll fail, but they pick themselves up, they learn from the mistake, and then they try again. And then they'll continue upward, and then boom, something else will happen and sort of knock them down. And that's the difference, I think, between the truly successful people. There will always be failures, there will always be roadblocks. The successful people find ways to continue on, learn from that experience to get better. I think the people that don't succeed as much, again, sort of give up and don't have sort of the grit or the perseverance to overcome sort of when they hit those roadblocks and they just don't know what to do. So I would say that's the biggest difference. And maybe another quality as far as don't be afraid to fail because failure is part of the success process.
Right, right. And so to build on that, um, you know, falling down, getting back up, and not being afraid of failure, what else can someone do to achieve their maximum potential?
Yeah. So for me, it boils down to three pillars. And we touched on one of them already is, I think physical fitness, working on the gym is a great place to start. And that was sort of my first uh, area of sort of growth. I got into bodybuilding at a very young age. I saw Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was like, I don't know, 13 years old. And uh, I saw these bodybuilders. I was like, at the time, I was reading a lot of comic books. And I was like, oh, they look like the comic book characters, all muscular and like super fit. And I was like, oh, you can become that way in real life if you work out. So I spent a lot of time in the gym. Um, and what I found was it's very sort of shallow in that, yeah, I was working out because it wasn't about fitness, it was more about I just was vain. I wanted to look good.
Right.
I
Right.
wanted to make myself look attractive to females, you know? Um, but I was a shallow person. I was a horrible student, barely graduated high school, I had horrible grades. Um, yeah, and I just didn't have any depth. I was a one-dimensional person. So it wasn't until later in life that I started to grow from a my mind, and this was after school, where I started to explore subjects that I was interested in. So I got curious. I started reading books. I started just educating myself on things that interested me. And what I found was I'd read a book and I'd read something in a book that would lead me to another subject and another book. So I started to develop my mind more, educating myself. So I had the physical part, I had the gym, I was working out, and then I started to again grow again my mind. Um, I became very curious and interested and explored really in-depth things that I was curious about and interested in learning, and that helped me sort of grow my mind. And then later, the third pillar for me is spirituality.
Yes.
And I won't say religion, although religion has been a big part of my life. For some people, it's not. So I can say that you can still develop spiritually if you're not religious. I differentiate those two things.
Okay.
Okay. And so I went to Catholic school, for the first 10 years, or first through eighth, and then 2 years of high school. Um, and I know that for me anyway, even though I don't practice, I don't go to church, I do consider myself spiritual. And a lot of it falls back to sort of the religious Catholic sort of upbringing and things that I heard but didn't really appreciate in my younger days and made more sense to me as I aged. And I think getting married and then having children sort of made that an area that I wanted to explore. So, long story short, I think to achieve your maximum potential, it should ideally be those three things: developing your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I will say there's no sort of end to that journey. I'm a work in progress.
Mhm.
I've got a long way to go. I've come a long way, so from this
Right.
one-dimensional, shallow sort of person who was very narcissistic and all I cared about myself. And over the years, I became a person that, again, tried to take care of not just myself, but take care of others and help
Right.
other people grow. And again, I think that I'm able to do that because, again, I put an emphasis on developing the mind, the body, and the spirit
Mhm.
equally. But it's a never-ending journey. So, humility is a big part of sort of who I am. So rather than tell you like how amazing I am, I have no problem admitting that I'm ignorant. Now, I'm less ignorant today than I was yesterday. uh, because again, I've committed to learning and for my stupid mistakes. And believe me, I've said and done a lot of stupid things in my life, and I own those mistakes. Um, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be less ignorant than I am today. So it's just this, and I hope to continue sort of that mindset for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I make a lot of dumb mistakes. Um, but I try to own those mistakes and just get better and better.
Right.
So it's a journey. It's a journey.
It,
You'll never get there.
it's a journey. It's like actively trying to, excel every day. It's
Mhm.
being intentional, truly. Um, okay, so you're saying that maximum potential, you have three pillars, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go into each a little bit further.
Yeah.
So first we can talk about body. You
Yeah.
mentioned bodybuilding
Mhm.
and how that made you vain. So we'll just
Yeah, no,
summarize
I
it.
was. Yeah, yeah.
So um I can definitely see how that happens, and it's very relatable, and you just you get stuck in very like a self-obsessed mindset thing.
Mm.
Um, but and I can relate to that. But for me, I enjoy working out, and I like going to the gym, and but it's not just about staying in shape. It's also about the discipline. And I think the discipline that carries into other parts of your life. So I think like almost how you mentioned there are three pillars. The discipline is in each
Mhm.
pillar. So,
Sure.
they're related.
Yep.
And yeah, I think the discipline has really taken me far. So that's kind of how I've gotten out of
Mhm.
um the self-centered mindset of going to the gym. It's now for me, it's beyond just like getting stronger or staying
Mhm.
healthy, but it's more
Yeah.
so how it shapes. It goes into the relationships that I have with others and with myself, with my coworkers and how I
Mhm.
present myself. So, um, yeah, and I think it's also discipline is very important too, just to talk about discipline
Mhm.
because people talk about having motivation, being motivated every day. Motivation doesn't happen every day. That's my thought is that motivation doesn't happen every day. You can wake up one day and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not motivated today. I don't want to listen to a podcast. I don't want to
Mhm.
go to the gym. I don't want to pray." But it's
Mhm.
like when you just, oh well, too bad. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm here working out. That wasn't about me wanting to get a good workout in. It's like,
Mhm.
I am strengthening myself for doing other things and pushing myself outside of my comfort zone when I really don't want to do it, but it's going to benefit me in the long run. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just bring up
I
discipline.
I admire the discipline.
Mhm.
Um, I respect it as far as being a quality that it almost feels like either you have it or you don't. Um, Now you mentioned motivation.
Mhm.
So yes, the discipline to get up in the morning, go to the gym, work out, do the cold plunge, whatever,
Yeah.
that thing is. Right. So what's the motivation? So yeah, again, I admit definitely as a 18-year-old guy, my motivation to go to the gym was my vanity, my
Mhm.
desire to look good in the mirror and to be attractive to women, which is, what I was my primary focus at that age. Right. But again, it was so is that okay? Is it okay if that motivation drives the discipline? I say, sure, why not? However, you justify being disciplined to go do the thing that's going to improve you. I think it's okay. I would just say again, eventually I learned it wasn't enough because it was so the motivation had to change. The discipline is required, but now the motivation changed to okay, I'm doing this now, not just to look in the mirror, but I want to be a healthy, able-bodied individual. And maybe I'm working on the gym because I'm an athlete and I want to improve my performance on the field, maybe, right? So working out sometimes is not just about looking good in the mirror, but it's because you're trying to be an athlete and you're competing in some sport and strength training is a part of that. So maybe that's the motivation. You want to win whatever competition, etc. Um, but so with the discipline, I would say, and in the sort of body pillar, to me, there's three things. So how do you achieve like the maximum sort of physical self? is, yeah, it's the physical fitness, it's sort of the training, right? But then there's also the nutrition, which a lot of
Hmm.
people say is even more important. Have you heard that expression? You can't out train a bad diet,
Hmm.
or abs are made in the kitchen and not in the gym, right? So there's the nutrition, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then the third aspect is recovery. And this is a part I think a lot of people, especially young people, don't put enough emphasis on is recovery. So I know that there was a time where I was like, I'm sure you've heard this, like, "Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I don't need to sleep. I'll sleep like 3 hours, whatever." But really, that's when your body heals itself. So all that work you do in the gym, you need that rest, you need that recovery to give your body enough time to heal and regrow itself stronger. So I would say in the body pillar, it's those three things: strength training, nutrition, and recovery as well.
Right. Recovery is so important. That's, I think that is one of the biggest parts of, at least for me, sleep has such a
Right.
huge impact on all areas of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
So you say those are the three things that make up the body
The
pillar.
physical. Yeah.
Now, how about the mind, the mindset pillar?
Yeah. So a couple of different things when it comes to mind. So I think one of the most obvious ones is, again, just read books.
Yes.
Um, but from a mindset perspective, one, you have to admit you don't know everything. And that what you think you know might actually be wrong. So have an open mind and be curious to explore different opinions, new perspectives. So I think developing the mind is reading, again, subjects that you're interested in, but also being open to having conversations and learning about um, people that maybe on the surface you think you don't agree with. But through exploration and conversation, you might gain new perspective that challenges your way of thinking, and you might actually change. So, uh, reading, having that open learning sort of mindset, not being afraid to admit that you don't know everything, and you never will. In fact, what we know pales in comparison to what we don't know, and that there's always opportunity to learn if you're open to it. So those are some of the things I need about developing your mind. I think going to museums, exploring art, culture, different again, meet people that have different sort of backgrounds. They might again have different life experiences than you, and just uh, opening yourself up to the potential of learning something
Right.
that you wouldn't have known otherwise. So those are
Right.
some examples.
And travel as well. Travel is a
All right.
huge, yes,
That's
huge.
a great point, by the way. And I'll mention, like, I went to India in 2019, just before COVID, and I had
Okay.
heard a lot about India. I've had the opportunity to travel a lot in my professional career, and I'm truly grateful for that. But India in particular was a place where it was like, once I finally got there, I really gained a unique appreciation for the culture after hearing so much, and you really don't know until you get there yourself. So
Right.
yes, thank you for bringing that up. Travel 100%. I would say if you're able to do it, either personally or even through work, if you can travel, that's a great way to gain new perspectives, different experiences, and develop your mind.
Absolutely. And I want to go back really quick. You made me think of travel because you said museums, and I'm going to Amsterdam,
Mm.
so I'm very excited. But you were talking about, reading is huge. So I'm curious, naturally, what books can you recommend? What podcasts are you listening to? What voices inspire you? I wanna hear it all.
Uh, okay, so as far as books go, Uh, I'll just name a couple. I have read a lot, and a lot of them helped shape me. But I would say maybe like the three most important: How to Win Friends, Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
Um, a guy who's still a friend, gave it to me when I was in my late teens. Um, and I've read it many times over the years and recommended it. And originally it was given to me like to develop sales skills, but what I learned is really it's social skills that you can use in any situation, not just sales.
That's,
Um, and if there's any guys out there and trying to figure out how to meet women, that you can learn some useful skills in how to win friends with people. Well, I mean, it's simple stuff like, oh, you know, um, take an interest in other people,
yeah, right.
listen, you know,
Don't keep
uh,
talking about yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I mean, again, great for any situation, not just sales. Um, but anyway, another one for me was, yeah, The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck that I mentioned earlier. And I read that one in my early 20s. And some girl that I was dating was a psych major at Berkeley. And she was reading as part of her coursework, and she turned me on to it. And then I think the third one that I shared with you, I think, was The Alchemist.
Yes, yes, you did. Yes, I love that
Yeah.
one.
So I would say those three, from as far as books go. I will say I don't read as much as I used to because I've been spending a lot of time listening to podcasts. I can do that like while I'm driving.
Yes.
So I listen to a lot of Andrew Huberman, um, who's a wonderful resource for and has some great guests as far as just overall health and well-being. So I've learned a lot from. Yeah, but I mean, I think the point is whether you like to read books or listen to podcasts, just have that open mind, be curious to learn and consume. Maybe it's audiobooks, consume information, content
Yes.
just to again improve yourself as much as you
Yes.
can.
And it's also a great tip for people who are who struggle with public speaking as well.
Yeah,
Just listening to podcasts and audiobooks, it has helped me so much. So much.
yeah.
I love Mel Robbins,
Oh,
and
sure.
I love another person called Bella Dane. She's great. So yeah, definitely podcasts and audiobooks are super helpful.
Mhm.
And I'm also curious, was there ever a specific belief or something that, you realized later on in your life that it was limiting your growth? Like maybe believing you had to do everything alone, or success
Mm.
looked a certain way, or even that rest was laziness. I know we just talked about
Mhm.
how rest is imperative and it's
Mm.
restorative, but maybe one time, maybe there was a point in your life where you didn't think that and you were just go, go, go. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I hate saying that's a great question because I think they're all great questions, but I will say that's a great one because I will tell you an interesting story
Mm.
to answer the question. There was a time where I was unaware of my ignorance, right? And I literally remember saying, I already know everything I need to know. I don't need to know anything else, which is an incredibly stupid thing to say and very ignorant. I became aware of my delusion and acknowledged my imperfection and committed myself to getting better. And I committed to finding every flaw and correcting it and improving my game. And I thought that it was possible. And while I did improve in a lot of areas, I noticed that despite my efforts, I kept making the same stupid mistakes over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And it was really depressing. And I started really sort of loathing myself and the fact that I kept making these stupid mistakes, no matter how hard I tried to sort of correct them and saying I wasn't going to do it again. And sure enough, there was always, I identified a pattern. It was mistakes I was making. And I had to learn self acceptance
Hmm.
in that while it's great to be self-aware and commit yourself to improving. There are certain qualities that just are who you are. And no matter how
Right.
hard you try to change them, you're not going to change.
Right.
So I had to get to that place where I just sort of accepted my imperfections. I was striving for perfection, and I had to just realize it's impossible. And there are certain things you're good at, and you have gotten better, and that's great. And there's certain things that you're just not good at. And I had to accept those things in order to let go of them. So I mentioned I went to Catholic school. I'll just tell you a funny story that will tie this all together. I was in the library in the Catholic school. This, I don't know, seventh grade, sixth grade, maybe. I don't know. There's a poster on the wall of a leopard. There's a cartoon, a leopard holding a rag, like a washcloth, and like a bottle of like soap or something. I don't know. And the caption said, "A leopard can't change his spots." And I asked the librarian, it was a Catholic school, so it was an Irish nun. And she says, "It means you're a bad kid and you'll always be a bad kid." Right. And I was like, oh, that's an awful thing to say. Like, I felt right. So, so I kind of had that chip on my shoulder my whole
Uh,
life where I was like, I was going to teach that nun, Sister Mary, whatever her name was, I don't know. But then what I found out was that phrase is actually from the Bible. And and it makes sense because of the Catholic school. So it makes sense that if there was a poster on the wall in the library in the Catholic school, that probably came from the Bible. But I didn't know that until recently. Like this revelation came to me like 2 or 3 years ago, where what it really meant was, yeah, like I said, you can certainly evolve and grow, but there are certain qualities that just are who you are. And
yeah.
it wasn't until I made that realization was I able to let go of the self-loathing and all the sort of pain that was
Wow.
associated to those same stupid mistakes.
Mm.
So once I realized that, I made a conscious decision that no, you're not perfect. You never will be, but that's okay.
Right.
You have come a long way. You have improved a lot. So keep setting yourself up for success by playing to your strengths and just stop doing the things that you don't enjoy and that you're not good at. And there's a lot more to celebrate. There's a lot more positives to be happy about than wasting any energy on sort of the negativity and dwelling on failure and just accept. So so I'll wrap things up with sort of the third pillar, which is
Yes.
spirituality,
Yes.
which to me is many things. You can do meditation, you can pray, you can there's breathing techniques, there's a number of different things you can do. For me, really, it's expressing gratitude every day. I acknowledge that the world is not perfect, my life is not perfect. There's always going to be some problem that needs to be addressed, but by and large, I'm blessed, I'm happy, I'm grateful, and
Mhm.
I don't take anything for granted. And I know that it all could go away tomorrow.
Right.
And it's just a conscious decision of what am I going to put my mental energy into. So I transitioned from being sort of negative and pessimistic. I was always looking for problems and trying to, fix things and make things better. And I didn't realize how toxic it had become. Um, so I shifted my mindset to just be more positive and optimistic. And I feel much happier and much healthier with that sort of mind shift, you
Right.
know? And yeah, so it's like I said, it's been a journey, but I would say long answer to your question. I'd say that's the biggest thing is you'll never be perfect, but that's okay. We have a lot to be grateful for, and we can celebrate those things. And while acknowledging that, yeah, there'll always be opportunities for growth and get better, but there's more to be happy about and celebrate, I think. And focusing
Right.
your energy on that just leads to a general better quality of life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, self-acceptance is really hard. It really, it
Yeah.
really is. So I can understand how you struggled with it for so long. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people struggle with that, and the gratitude aspect can
Yeah.
can shift the way that you think about yourself and the way
Hmm.
that you think about your life, and you wake up, and it's very, very powerful. So obviously mindset and motivation, it relates to your overall well-being.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, right. And I think in my life personally, when I switched from having a negative mindset to a positive mindset, so much changed. It's
Yeah.
like night and day. It really
Hmm.
is. And I talked about it earlier, like kind of with the discipline, there's a clear shift in your relationship with yourself, your loved ones, strangers, and just your overall mood. So
You got
yeah,
it.
so powerful. And also I wanted to go into it's so funny, but your LinkedIn profile,
Uh-huh.
you on LinkedIn, and it mentions having an open heart, open
Yeah.
ear, and an open mind. So I feel like this kind of all segued into that. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So, right. There was a time in my life where I would want to, I believed that I was awesome and I wanted the world to know that I was awesome. And again, the reality is, again, I'm not perfect. I'm human.
Yes.
So rather than tell people how amazing I am, I like to lead with humility and, just uh, say that, yeah, while I have years of experience and I feel like I can add value. The reality is I'm a work in progress. And the only way I'm going to get better is if, again, I've had that sort of open learning mindset, open ears, open heart, and open mind, where, yeah, I have opinions about things, but I'm always open to hearing new perspectives, and I can easily change my opinion if I hear something that, again, new information, new perspective that I hadn't considered before, as opposed to sort of digging in my heels, convinced that I know everything and not being open to, uh, the possibility that I might be wrong. So
Right.
I think that goes back to the mindset thing and unlocks the door for just all sorts of good stuff.
Mhm. And I love that saying. I think it's a perfect reminder for everyone. It's like I need to I need to write that down somewhere because I really do like it. And the growth truly comes, not only when you look within, but when you also listen to
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
Your growth can be exponential.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's the only way you learn, right? I mean, if you listen, talk
Right.
less and listen more.
Yes. Yes.
Listening with the intention to learn.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
Ava, this has been great. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you're busy. You've got lots of different things going on, and I'm truly grateful for you taking the time to have this conversation with me. Again, I'm grateful because you gave me the opportunity to sort of turn the tables and share more information that I normally do on these podcasts. But let's chalk this up to round one, and we're going to do a round two at some point in the future, and we'll turn the tables again, and I'll give you a proper opportunity to uh, share information about yourself and everything that you're working on and what your goals are. Because I do think, again, you're doing great work on Instagram. Really fun, entertaining videos that I think a lot of people can benefit from. And the last thing I'll say, what I really appreciate about some of what you've done is your authenticity and your willingness to sort of be real. So, at least from where I'm standing, I see a lot of sort of people showing what they want people to see as opposed to what reality is. So there's a lot of phonies, filters, deep fakes.
Right.
And I really appreciate you being honest about, you've mentioned some of your health related skin issues, and um, you show yourself taking your makeup off, and you've shown us, I think, sides of yourself that not everybody is willing to show. So I think that speaks volumes about sort of who you are as a person, that you have confidence and belief in yourself, that you can be your sort of true self. So I did want to acknowledge that, and I did want to compliment you, um, as far as I think something that more people should do, when it comes to what version of themselves are they showing the outside world.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time to feel comfortable in front of a camera and to really just let your guard down. But once you do, I think it's very valuable. Like I've grown so much from sharing those parts of my life, like showing that part of my personality. And I think a lot of people can take away, you know,
Mhm.
many lessons as well. So thank you so much, Antoine. Thank you for having.
Yeah, yeah, it's been awesome. Like I said, this is round one. We'll do round two again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.